This is three things that narcissists don't realize and make them fall into suffering throughout their lives. To put it bluntly, narcissists are fully aware of their actions and the unacceptability of their behavior. They consciously choose to engage in abusive patterns because they have no desire to change. This duality of their nature is akin to Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. However, there are certain things that narcissists remain unaware of. What are these key aspects? Let's explore them in today's episode. In this installment, we will delve into three enlightening revelations that narcissists lack awareness of. If you find this topic intriguing and yearn to uncover these three revelations, be sure to subscribe before we commence, as your subscription aids in spreading awareness about narcissistic abuse. Number 1, they are their own worst enemy. Unbeknownst to the narcissist, they squander their entire life engrossed in the belief that others are intentionally working against them. They perceive people as rivals, vying to undermine their success, a notion fueled by their grandiosity. They harbor suspicions that individuals are perpetually targeting them due to their supposed uniqueness. This ingrained mistrust prevents them from forming genuine connections and inhibits their ability to trust. They incessantly point fingers in all directions, convinced of widespread animosity towards them. They perceive themselves as perpetual targets, believing that nobody wants to see them thrive. However, the truth is that they are their own ultimate adversary. How does this manifest? Allow me to elucidate. Whenever adversity strikes, and they themselves are at fault, they deflect blame onto others. They point fingers at you, the situation, or even the entire universe, refusing to accept responsibility for their own actions. This blinds them to self-reflection and insight, resulting in rigid inflexibility, devoid of the capacity to acknowledge their own contributions to adverse situations. They prove themselves to be their own undoing. Their failure lies in their resolute inability to introspect, making every relationship they enter crumble before their eyes. They unwittingly destroy the very connections they desperately crave. The jobs they claim to love inevitably lead to their dismissal or loss. The romantic relationships they believe hold the answer to all their inquiries invariably transform into their most tumultuous experiences, at least in their perception. Consequently, they find neither tranquility nor stability in their lives. What's truly astonishing is their persistent habit of pointing fingers at others, falsely believing that someone else is to blame, when in reality, the fault lies within themselves. They unwittingly emerge as their own worst enemy. A closer examination of their life reveals a woeful narrative characterized by a self-destructive cycle that dismantles every good thing they encounter. They forfeit relationships, including the loss of someone who cherished them intensely. Jobs slip through their grasp, children become estranged, and families disintegrate, all consequences of their own omnipotence and grandiosity. Respect, honor, and carefully crafted public images are sacrificed on the altar of their own actions. Why? Because they are the architects of their own downfall. No one else orchestrates their demise. It is their own choices that bring their proverbial castle crashing down, erasing their identity and triggering their own collapse. Their existence resembles a ticking time bomb, one that eventually erupts and unfolds, leading them to believe they were victimized by external forces. Yet, during moments of self-reflection, they discover that they were the ones who betrayed others, while failing to acknowledge the intricate connection between their actions and the consequences they now face. Number 2, they exhibit extreme immaturity. Now, one might be tempted to perceive narcissists as clever and highly intelligent individuals. After all, they possess sharp memories, excel in their professions and businesses, showcase impressive financial acumen, and effortlessly charm others into believing they are remarkable beings. It is true that this is all part of their facade. However, underlying this facade is an astonishing level of immaturity. In what ways are they profoundly immature? Consider this for a moment. Whenever they make a mistake, hurt someone, or engage in foolish behavior that warrants feedback or critique, they respond with an unruly trigger akin to a rabid dog. They aggressively retaliate, refusing to accept any possibility of their imperfection. Their impulsivity is notably prominent, compelling them to take risks without considering the consequences. Lacking tolerance and foresight, they recklessly pursue their desires without pausing to contemplate the aftermath. Once the initial allure fades, they grow quickly bored and casually discard whatever or whoever they were passionately pursuing, all without a care for the ramifications, especially when it involves another human being. Additionally, they possess an insatiable need for instant gratification. If they desire something, they must obtain it immediately, regardless of the consequences endured by others. They throw tantrums anywhere, at any time, should circumstances not align with their desires. Just like a child trapped within an adult's body, they resort to crying and displaying erratic behavior. In fact, one might argue that children exhibit more maturity than narcissists. These individuals display the emotional tolerance and delayed gratification capabilities of a young child, coupled with the abilities and potential harm of an adult. This combination renders them exceptionally dangerous, particularly in situations of legal conflict or instances where they wield greater power and financial resources, potentially inflicting severe harm. They display a complete lack of concern for sacrificing the well-being of their children in order to fulfill their own egoistic needs. Another facet of their immaturity and ignorance is expecting you to blindly accept and reconcile, even after discovering they have been engaging in malicious gossip behind your back. Reflect on this for a moment. A narcissistic parent propagates an extensive smear campaign against you, casting themselves as the victim, claiming to have been abandoned by their own child. And then, with an apparent facade of kindness, they approach you, expecting to resume a relationship. How can their mind be so deluded as to believe they can engage in such behavior, while simultaneously anticipating your acceptance? They are incapable of perceiving the contradiction, ignoring the consequences, and presuming you will comply. Moving on to the third and final revelation, they exhibit an extreme dependence on others. If you were to leave a narcissist stranded in the middle of a desert, they would not last more than an hour. Why? Because they require you as they do oxygen. They rely on multiple sources of supply simultaneously to sustain their existence. They lack the ability to rely on themselves or achieve self-sufficiency. They truly epitomize a parasitic nature. Upon psychological examination, one would discover that there is no true self within a narcissist. Without a genuine sense of self, what can they then depend on? Their entire being is a conglomeration of maladaptive coping mechanisms, specifically reliant on others to perpetuate their existence. However, the foolish narcissist mistakenly believes that they are completely self-reliant and that everyone else depends on them. Drunk on their grandiosity, they revel in imagining a world where everyone kneels before them, bowing to their ego and surrendering every aspect of themselves to the narcissist's perceived superiority. They envision themselves as the supreme being, the alpha and omega of existence. This is the distorted reality in which the narcissist prefers to reside. Yet, if they were to confront the harsh truth, the reality is frighteningly different and utterly opposed to their fantasy world. Strip a narcissist of everything, every person to validate their ego, every ounce of wealth, every trace of reputation, every bit of influence, and place them in the darkness of their own rotten self. I guarantee you, the narcissist would simply cease to exist. A narcissist is entirely contingent upon the presence of other people. Remove the external forces that fuel their ego, and their false self would naturally disintegrate. That concludes today's episode. I hope you found it enlightening. If you did, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Additionally, please share any other insights on aspects the narcissist may be unaware of. I look forward to our next discussion. Until then, may the journey of healing begin and continue.